So that was a 1 day trip for you?
Yep, one day.
Oh my
Saw all of
goodness.
pretty much saw all of California I'll ever need to see in a day.
Wow.
This is see, this is he is living the best life. I don't want how old are you now, Brandon? You gotta be what, 18?
I'm going to
19?
be 19 in just a couple of
Oh,
weeks here.
wow.
Okay, so 19 years old. I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't get any better. So sorry to spoil it for you there. It doesn't get any better. Okay. I'm 47 and I can tell you, no, it's like you've peaked. You've peaked it going on nine. I can't even tell you that 19 will be any better than where you're at right now.
Wait. Let's not bury him right in there. He has his whole entire future in front of him.
He gets one high in the air, left field. This one's got a chance, and let's go on a cowhide. Joyride, sound the horn. The RailCats clear the yard.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich, and we have the MVP of the front office, Brandon Osika, right? I said that name right.
That's correct.
There we go. See, there I can get someone's name right for the first time.
Give the guy a hand. Come
Yeah,
on.
MVP on top of the world. One of the guys that one of the hardest working members of the front office this year for the Railcats. I'm pretty sure I've seen you sweep sunshine off the sidewalk. You've done so much. For your first year working with the Railcats. First of all, how did that all come about?
There's really not a big long story to it. I came in as an intern for the off season. At Crown Point, you get to do an internship if you have your credits kind of squared away for your senior year. I called into the front office, said, "Hey, this would be a great opportunity for me, and if we can make it work, I'd love to." He got back to me, said yes. Things kind of happened, and come February, Anthony said, "Hey, we've got a spot in the clubhouse open if you're interested." I thought about it, said, "You know what? Probably a pretty good opportunity," and the rest is history.
Now, most people may not know what a clubhouse manager does. So, can you tell me some of your day-to-day operations that you did?
Yeah, so usually the clubhouse manager is pretty much going to be the first one in and the last one out every day. We're kind of in charge of making sure everything as far as the team is concerned is taken care of, from food to laundry to equipment, all of that good stuff.
Now, I know you
It's
did
a, it's a challenge.
I know you did more than just, the house cleaning aspect or what you used to say the team mom aspect of it. You were driving people from the steel yard to the airport, picking them up, helping with the grounds crew, helping with everything in between. So really, you kind of ran the show without running the show. I mean, you
I
were
guess in a
the
way you could say that, but at the same time, everyone in the front office has something like that to do. It's other duties is assigned. There's always somewhere that someone could be helping out, and our front office is really great about doing that all around.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think with Anthony running it, it just shows from the talent level. Like I said, we sat and bickered the entire time of who should be the front office MVP, just because there's just so many great people that do so many great things. But I think you get the highlight of it just because you were the one that really kind of stepped through the role, and you know a lot, and you really put everything together. So that's why to
I
us.
appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
We know you put in the hard work, and besides what anyone else says out there, you put in the work, and you were on top of the world. So props to you. You keep doing that hard work, and and the funny thing is about this whole situation is, Brandon, you're going to college now, and I really thought, the first time I met you and we were talking, that you would have done something with baseball, but you don't want to do something with baseball. What is it that you actually want to do in your
So I'm
college?
currently going for a meteorology degree. I am also, let's make it known, I'm also on the sports management path. So it's not
Oh,
completely out,
okay.
but as of right now, or as of when I started, meteorology was the original plan.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I hear Anthony has competition, is what you're telling me.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well,
So wait.
sports management has a lot to, I mean, you could be an agent. You could
Oh
be,
yeah.
there's a
It's a
lot of different
very
roles
diverse field.
to go with sports management and definitely uh make it interesting. So here's my line of questions for you. Um So when I first met you and we got to talking, I think that for the most part we were in competition for throwing the tennis balls in the middle of the pool, right? And it would never fail that I would get, there would be 5 tennis balls in the pool, and I'd have 2 of them or 3 of them, and then I'd be in line, and I'm like, Brandon's here again, and he's got the other 2, and it was like constantly splitting money with Brandon every single game. Uh, and then, when I get to talking and I'm like, he says, well, I'm going to school. And I'm thinking, okay, college is over with. You're going to be over with, and then I find out he's only in high school. I'm having competition with a kid that's in high school. And I say that not a kid. Actually, I'm going to say
A young adult.
an adult, because the way that Brandon presents himself
Mhm.
is really a master class for how somebody that age can just show so much respect and maturity. It's really amazing. So that right there is a fantastic trait, and I appreciate that as a person, Brandon, that you have that. But here's something else that I see uh, that really makes me feel good. Brandon could be having a wonderful day of running around the ballpark, but Sundays, Brandon, what can I always find you doing before the game?
Oh, every Sunday I'm going to throw and play catch with my dad. That's never going to
Exactly.
change.
Exactly. And to me, that shows just a great family. And so my question, all of that nonsense that I just brought up there, my question to you is, what does the Railcats mean to you and your family?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question, and the answer is honestly everything. Our whole summer, to a degree, kind of revolves around the ballpark. Now even more so than ever. But growing up, it was memories of going to a Railcats game as a family, and going to 1 or 2 games this summer turned into 5 to 10. In the last couple of years, it's been 45 to 50. So it becomes your whole summer. But the memories I've made there with my family over the years are just irreplaceable. I couldn't imagine anything different.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what fans, and going back to, that's what you were, a fan, and making the memories at the ballpark. To me, that's what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely.
With that being said, through all the years that you've been a fan and becoming more of a fan every year, just that's how we kind of all seem to be going that way as we fall more in depth with it than anything. But what's the one thing that really keeps you going back to the Steelyard, back to the Railcats?
The one thing that keeps me coming back, it's the environment. Everyone thinks of Gary, and the first thing they think of is often, some of the less fortunate things about the area. It's never the ballpark, and for me, that's always the first thing I think of. It's a friendly environment. Some of the best fans in the league, the best fans in the league. It's a place I would love to spend an afternoon every day if I could, and there's just no place in the world quite like it.
And you've been to, I mean, how many American Association teams have you been to see?
This year I went and saw 7 of them.
Wow.
And I've seen some of the best. I mean, I went up to Fargo for a playoff game. Those fans, they're great, but what we've got here in Gary is just special.
It is. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Even outside of the American Association and RailCats and independent baseball in general, you're a big baseball fan in general. I mean, I've seen plethora of pictures of you at Wrigley Field, at Guaranteed Rate, but then you made a special surprise visit out to Oakland to see the A's play one of their last home games of their team history. What was that like?
Oh, that was an incredible experience. I had been talking about wanting to go out for a while, and then for my graduation, Taylor Campbell actually bought me a pair of tickets to go see the Athletics. So we made the 20-hour journey, there and back, the 20-hour trip to Oakland.
You
4
drove?
hours in the air on the way there. Spent probably about 12 hours on the ground in California and flew 4 hours back, something like that. It's, a trip I would have loved to have made again. Obviously, I cannot, but the ballpark, although it's a little bit dated, was really an incredible place. You could tell the fans love their baseball out there, especially having lost teams in the past. You could feel the emotion in the ballpark the whole time. But it was just an incredible experience. And not only that, I also got the opportunity to look into Oracle over at across the bay in San Francisco, another beautiful park I'd love to return to for a game at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something I won't be able to get to do, but that's
so you flew there for 4, it's like a 3.5 hour flight, I think. You fly there, you get to the ballpark or whatever, you spend 12 hours on the ground, and then you're back in the air to fly home. So that was a 1 day trip for you?
Yep, one day.
Oh my
Saw all
goodness.
of pretty much saw all of California I'll ever need to see in a day.
wow.
He is living the best life. How old are you now, Brandon? You got to be what, 18?
I'm going to be 19 in just a couple of weeks
wow.
here.
Okay, so 19 years old, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't get any better. So sorry to spoil it for you there. It doesn't get any better. Okay. I'm 47, and I can tell you, no, it's like you've peaked. You've peaked at going on 9. I can't even tell you that 19 will be any better than where you're at right now.
Wait. Let's not bury him right in there. He has his whole entire future in front of him. And I say this with utter respect and
Jealousy.
jealousy. This comes down to jealousy at this point. You have such a bright future ahead of you that it's unreal what you're just knowing you in the little bit of amount of time that I've known you, what you have accomplished and what you're going to accomplish is gonna be out of this world. Like you're gonna be one day, you're probably gonna be sitting in like a corner office in like New York and like still like laughing at all the peasants that are still, here in Indiana just doing their own dang thing. But the way you speak and everything else that goes on with it, you're just such a great person in general. I wish I could wind back 10 years and be 18 years ago and knowing uh what I know now, but it seems like you've already known that. And so just because you're 19, I don't think you've peaked. I think you have plenty of time to get through college and do what you want to do and be perfectly okay with that. So
All right.
don't let Chuck tell you that because you haven't. You haven't peaked, okay? That's
All right. I mean, I don't know.
Chuck may have peaked, but you, Brandon, you have not, sir. You were perfectly
I
fine.
tell you, I peaked a long time ago. This is like, I mean, it might have been, you know what? It might have been I peaked when I got my first season pass to the RailCats. That might have been my peaking.
That is a
So
tough moment to beat.
it is, going to I think I went to 49 home games this year, so not terrible, 49 out of 50. And that was even having shoulder surgery a day of a
Yep.
game, and I still went and saw the game.
That's commitment.
It is, but we also had a kid that was working there, so we had to pick him up anyways. That's
Yeah.
kind of the excuse of why we go. Um, you know, going back, I do say if you had peaked right now at 18, you've had a great life.
Yep.
And so really it's all you got many places to go and many wonderful things to see. Knowing that you enjoy that time playing baseball or playing catch with your dad, I know that I see it out there, and especially when I can't go out there and throw anything because of my shoulder. But I see it, and it kind of reiterates the family, the wholesomeness that is the steel yard. And so my next question is, uh, how does it feel actually working for the team that you have enjoyed so much?
It's just an incredible feeling. It's something I never would have imagined in a million years. Working for your hometown team of all teams in the world, your hometown team that you've grown up loving is just a feeling that cannot be replicated. I just can't believe it sometimes. Like I'll still wake up and say, am I dreaming? This is, unreal.
Yeah.
I remember when we had that luncheon, and I invited you to the luncheon, and got to sit there, stand there and talk to Lamar and stuff. And he said, hey, why don't you guys ever come down and visit me at the dugout? And I hear something like that, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice. That Brandon actually, that game, he's in the dugout, and I'm like, he does not miss an opportunity.
No, and that's how all this came about. It's just opportunities that have been, placed in front of me at the right time and taken advantage. And I could not be more thankful for those opportunities that I've received.
Yeah. You're a man that takes a lot of opportunities. I think I need to take a page out of your book because I still suffer a little bit with that on that front. But going back to just being a fan, I can my memory's terrible in the first place, so I barely remember what I did yesterday. I can barely remember what I did 2 hours ago. Actually, I think I was on a run 2 hours ago, but that's beside the point. My first RailCats game was 3 years ago. I went to the Off Square Brewery where they were doing like the meet the players and all the other stuff. They were launching their beer, and I got free tickets and got to meet some of the team. And it was a Friday night opening night. I sat behind third base dugout somewhere. I don't remember the score of the game. Don't remember any of that stuff. What this all coming down to, Brandon? Do you remember your first time walking up to the gates, getting your ticket scanned, and sitting down and watching your first RailCats game?
I do. It would have been when I was about 4 years old in 2009, still part of the Northern League. I believe it was Gary versus FM, and there was a sunglasses giveaway for the first 500 kids.
Oh, wow.
Do you still have the sunglasses?
I do actually still have the sunglasses, yes.
Do you have the sunglasses with you?
If you give me about 14 seconds here,
I will give you 14 seconds.
You're on the clock.
With the power of editing, you can do anything.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
We do, in fact, have them.
Oh, look at that.
And look at that. Do they really fit? No, but
I
still got them.
I don't see why not rock those every day.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're not at the steel yard wearing those things are like precious now. I mean, that's what 10 years ago ish.
Oh yeah.
No, longer than that.
15.
It's longer than that.
I don't know. It's long
9.
time now. I don't know. Maybe opening day I'll have to rock those for you guys.
Yeah.
That's gonna be I'm gonna walk in on opening night, and I'm gonna find you, and you're gonna be wearing those because then we're gonna take a picture of you wearing those, and then they should be put in the RailCats Museum. That's what they should be done.
Absolutely. So
Let's do it.
We talked before, you're jealous that Brandon's living his best life. Another little nugget of Brandon that I've picked up on is, one day we're at the game and I noticed that he's wearing a RailCats hockey jersey. And I'm like, where did you get that from? And I find out that Brandon likes to peruse eBay to pick up RailCats stuff. And he has a huge collection of RailCats gear.
Yeah, that is true. Every now and then I'll take a look, see what's out there, see what's, worth snagging, any of that kind of stuff. I have accumulated way too much. Way too much.
What's your favorite your favorite thing?
It really might be that hockey jersey you're mentioning. It's a jersey, it's green on the top, white line and maroon on the bottom. It's got a Blackhawk logo on the left shoulder. I believe it's got a RailCat logo on the other one. I know for certain it's got Blackhawk. That was the part that stuck out to me. Is I did not realize that jersey existed even. That was one that would have been before I was really paying attention to that. I want to say it was like 2010, 2011. Okay. So far too young for me to be bidding on it. I saw it one day and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And it ended up being like $25, and it came with the hockey puck that they gave away at the gate that night. For that kind of price, it's like you can't pass up on that.
Wow. So that's a big one.
Ryan, Get on it. Start looking it
Yeah.
up. Go on eBay.
Yeah,
Start looking it up.
Ryan, you were talking about people having windows sitting in New York City working. That's where Ryan came from, actually. We caught him and we put him inside of a cage at Kyle's house, and he's our production supervisor. So if you ever hear him pointing over, that's what he's doing. I mean, legally we can't say that he's caged or being held against his will.
Can't legally say he's a person either, but
I see.
If we can put a legal disclaimer across the bottom, like we tend to do with some of this stuff we say, um, but he's there, and I would say, he also congratulates you on team MVP for the front office.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I can't promise anything about getting out of that cage, but I'll sure give it my best effort.
That's great. That's great.
I'll at least give him like 5 minutes. He at least gets like a minute or two a day. I've been reading, right, and I'm reading the series of unfortunate events, right. It's more of a kid's book style, but I remember reading when I was younger, and I like it. Anyways, one of the books for lunch they get gum, so he gets a piece of gum for lunch today instead of
I
just his
see.
spit.
Yeah.
He gets a piece of gum today.
Brandon, do you believe that he's actually reading books that have words and not just pictures?
You know what? I just started doing the same thing recently. When I was in grade school, we had this thing called AR, and you would take, a test on each book, and you get a certain amount of points, and you get a grade at the end of the semester for accumulating enough points. And that just ruined reading for me because it came more about getting points than the
point,
subject. Yeah. And by the time that I was done with it, it's like, I don't want to read another book again just because, I wasn't reading it for the content. It was all about the points. It was only just recently that I started reading again, and it's entirely thanks to Taylor Campbell, actually. But it's I'm kind of getting back into it as well.
That's good. That's
So
good.
what book are you currently reading?
Honestly, I'm not even sure the title. It's just one that she had two of and said, "Hey, do you want to pick it up?" I'm like, "Okay, why not?" The most recent book I read, also don't remember the title, but it was a baseball book that kind of detailed the inner workings of the major leagues, which was pretty cool.
Well, there you go. I got done reading the baseball fan guide to baseball analytics. It gives you the fair, easy rundown of like all the major analytics. So I was like, oh, I learned a couple things there, and I'm like, some of the stuff I will never use in my life, but it's cool. So I've been getting back into that kind of stuff. But yeah, see, interesting things. You never, you could see Chuck. You need to hop on the bandwagon of reading books. Maybe that's why your life you're not peaking quite yet because you haven't started reading any books yet. So,
I stopped reading books when they started making movies. So I'm all about efficiency. If it's going to take a couple of days to read a book and I can watch a movie in an hour and 20 minutes, then I'll watch the movie in an hour and 2 hours, whatever. So
pretty fair, especially when you start thinking about like the Harry Potter series where you've got, the movies where total each one's like 3 hours long, but the books are like 800 pages. That's pretty big time commitment. They can be narrowed down quite a bit.
Right. And I mean, for me, I always say I stopped running when God provided me a car. So, you said you were out running earlier. Yep. No, that's not, I don't do that. Maybe that's why my doctor's having problems with me.
Well, maybe, or it's all the great food you ate at the Steelyard.
Well, you know what? We can't push any of that blame on the wonderful food at the Steelyard. I will say the food at the Steelyard is wonderful in moderation.
Well, any ballpark food should be wonderful in moderation.
That's the part that, you ever see where you like have the text and it like cuts off at the end? It cut off the in moderation part. It just said as much food as you want in moderation. So I miss that in my cholesterol.
Now, with that being said, we for some odd reason every episode we have to bring up food, right? And the one big surprise that Chuck brought up, actually your wife brought it up to you, that they sell pulled pork and pulled chicken there.
You see, I heard about that. I was watching one of the other episodes. I didn't realize you guys didn't know about the food we have over at 18th Street.
Sitting us peasants that sit on the first base side, we don't often get to that side of the ballpark. So with that being said, what's your favorite food at the Steelyard? And then with you being so versed in the American Association baseball rant, well traveled, yes. What's your favorite visiting ballpark food?
Well, at the Steelyard, I honestly think you can't go wrong with anything at 18th Street. When I was still buying food there daily, I kind of just rotated between what they had on their menu, depending on what was available and all that. They've all got great options there, especially price wise. It's all really affordable for what you're getting, and it's just very good food. As far as across the league, this summer in Kansas City, I actually had a really good brisket sandwich. I think I'm gonna have to go with that one. Actually, it was pretty good. Now, still, I think 18th Street beats it out. Still very good though.
Okay, so it's brisket. I mean, Kansas City, famous for barbecuing that kind of. So it would kind of make sense. But what specific? See, I can't speak specifically at 18th Street. I mean, you can give us names, give us context, so that we can let them know, the people that go to 18th Street, so they
The
know what they
Brandon
get.
Special. If you were to rename one of those things, the Brandon Special, what would it be?
Man, the sausage there is pretty good. I'll say that.
All right,
When they've
Italian
got
sausage.
that on the grill, it's hard to walk away.
All right, Italian sausage it is.
Yep, there you go.
So we need to talk to whoever's going to be in charge of food to make sure that we rename that the Brandon Special Italian Sausage. If we can
I'm
get
good
that
with that.
I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Everybody listening, all 10 people that are listening right now, if you get your season tickets,
God.
you contact Alex and you get your season tickets. I want you to tell him you need to speak to the manager. You want to have a say in having that Italian sausage renamed the Brandon Special Italian Sausage.
At least that's better than giving out free Slugger meals, okay? So I don't have to necessarily put a disclaimer on that one, but
There's a step up, yeah.
I have a
Apparently,
deja vu from last week.
I mean, come on. Well, I know we're pushing. Come on now. We're trying to help out. We want to encourage people to go out there. Really, you just have to show up to the game one time. You'll have a blast, and you'll be one of those guys that wants to show up. Like Brandon said, 4 games turns into 10, turns into 12, turns into 45. Right? I feel
Absolutely.
confident that that's the way that it works for most people that love baseball.
And it's affordable. And that's the thing that people don't realize, You're paying all this money to go into the city to see the White Sox or the Cubs when you could be coming here for 40, 50 games a season, for the price of maybe 5 or 10 games up in Chicago. It's good baseball. It's cheap. It's local. Why not support it?
Well, let's
hold off on the good baseball part real quick.
I feel that I really need to fix what you just said there, Brandon, because I remember last year and the year before, I think that you probably made money going to the
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
So, it was not that it's affordable. You actually get paid to show up to the games because we were constantly getting good money out of that swimming pool.
That's true.
Yes.
It might just be profitable if you play your cards right.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost every game that I was able to go to this year, most if not all the tennis balls were sold out at the end of the year, and I think that nonetheless is pretty impressive. And not a lot of people got into the kiddie pool this year. I didn't really see a lot in the kiddie pool this year. You take the 2 top competitors out of it. You had the arm surgery. You're working for the team, and I don't throw tennis balls. So
I think that's how they were like, hey, we can't have the same guys winning all the time, so we're gonna have to hire this guy, and this guy's too old. He has to have shoulder surgery.
They secretly broke your arm, so you had to.
That's yeah. So I think, I mean, not to belittle the fact, Brandon, but I think the reason why you were hired is because they didn't want to pay you in basketball or in tennis ball stuff anymore.
Yeah, I knew there had to be some reason.
Speaking of the baseball side of it, and me making my comment about baseball not being the best product on the field this year, that's beside the point. But you were around when good things were happening at the Steelyard. From your memory, what was those atmospheres like?
Oh, it was incredible. I don't think you guys have even seen, exactly what the Steelyard is capable of when you've got, I remember there would be nights where it would be tough to even park because there were so many people there ready to cheer on for the local team who was, when I was there, oftentimes was competing for a championship or a division title. it was just incredible. Nothing like it. It was a major league atmosphere at a minor league level.
With that being said, what were some of the players that you remember that you really enjoy? It could be, I mean, players now and past, but that you've really enjoyed watching and have kind of been instilled in your memory for years.
Absolutely. The first one that comes to my mind, and always will, Hayden Schilling. He was an infielder, kind of used him like a utility guy in his second year with us. When he played for us in 21, I would warm up with him on the left field line before every game I came to. We would throw and play catch every game. And, for a kid, that's just an incredible moment. You can't beat that. So I will always remember him, thankful for, the time we had him. Incredible guy, incredible player. Just the best. Another guy on that list, Alex Crosby, who just retired, I believe it was at the end of last year with Southern Maryland.
Mhm.
He's currently with the association, our games played leader. So he was with us a long time. I believe it was through part of 2015 through 2019. Good guy, always making time to talk to the fans, was a really solid player as well. And then another one of those guys, Tommy Walraven. You guys would know him.
Oh, yeah.
Always making time to talk with the fans, whether it was home, on the road, wherever. And the thing I loved about him is he'd just have his power surges. He'd come out of nowhere and hit like 6 bombs in 3 weeks, and it's like he's on.
Well,
But
I
he
mean, it
just
was
an incredible guy too.
Two grand slams in one
Yep, that's
game. And what do you have 9 RBIs that game, 10 RBIs that game?
yeah, I think it was 9 and
Just
two
video
grand
game
slams,
numbers.
and yeah, it was just he was actually the first player that I was ever able to talk to. Paulie bought 2 jerseys and he gave me one. I was like, hey, go out to the field, and it happened to be Wall Ravens, and I got to speak with him, and he put on Facebook in the Rowdy RailCats Cowboy Crew group chat that he was with they were coming back from, I think, Schaumburg, and they drove through 90, and he took a picture of the steel yard. He's like, I miss you guys. Like, he just, that kind of stuff. He's always yeah, he's off doing his own thing, but like he always just kind of comes back, and is the RailCat. So he was just one of those players that, plethora of players that we can talk about like that, but he's just the one that kind of sticks out.
Just such a good guy. And then the last one that comes to mind is Alec Olin.
Yep, I was waiting.
Incredible defensive player, in my opinion, possibly the best in the entire league. But incredible human being as well. I've traveled countless miles just to see him. He's just a great guy. It's a great day every time I get to see him.
Yeah.
For overhearing so he got released from Gary, and I believe somebody brought over a baseball bat and gave it to you and said that Alec had left it for you.
That's correct. Yeah. I still have that bat. He left it after he was released for me. There was a trade we were going to complete. I had this red RailCat jersey with the number 5 on it, which was the number he wore when he was with us. I told him, hey, it's all yours. Next time you break a bat, just give it to me. Fair trade. He must have taken some really good swings at that time, actually, so he never did break that bat, or at least he didn't while they were at home. They went on a road trip, and by the time they came back, the deal had happened and whatever. But he ended up leaving it for me, just as the gesture before he left. And that, I will always remember that.
Yeah, that's a testament to who he is. I know that I've ran across him quite a few times, various different games against Fargo or what have you, and always a stand-up guy. I know. We went and saw him play with the Valley Cats this last season, and great guy, great hometown guy. Can't say enough positive about him or Wally. Wally's the type of guy that when he had decided that he was, kind of done in Gary because he wanted to kind of start the next chapter of his life being in New York and what have you. And I kept bugging him, are you coming back? You coming back? And he's like, well, if I can hit, 10 more home runs by the end of the year, I'll think about it. And he hits those 2 grand slams, and I think that finished up his 10 home run thing. And I'm like, that's it. You did it. And he's like, all right, I'll think about it, but he just went on this power streak that
Yep.
was unbelievable. And, I guess what made it even more interesting was the fact that he had said, if I can hit 10 more or 9 more, or 8 more, whatever it was, so as a fan, I'm like, come on, just one more. I don't care if we win or lose. I just want to see him hit one more home run. So yeah, he's a stand-up guy.
And I think ultimately what you have to get out of this is we always just have the best players in the league, in my opinion. We've always got guys, across the roster who are going out of their way to make memories with the fans and are outstanding clubhouse guys. It's one thing that you can always count on our teams, it seems, is we just have great human beings in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
we've talked about that. I feel as though Lamar, he might get a lot of crap for the records for the past couple of years and stuff, but I look at these other teams, and some of these other teams have guys that just have really bad attitudes. I know that there's some teams that have guys, when you ask them for an autograph, they pretend like they can't hear you and they walk away. And it's like, why? There was one guy that played for Kansas City that there's always guys that come down and ask for autographs and have cards and stuff like that. And out of a couple of the different teams, I probably ran across 6 or 7 of these guys. And I would ask him, hey, who's the worst guy to try to get an autograph? And every single one of them mentioned the same guy. And I'm like, what the heck? And then finally I said, hey, this guy down here is trying to get autographs. I've never talked to him before in my life, but I bet you if I asked him who was the worst one to try to get off from, he'd say this guy. And we went down there and asked him, and he did. And I said, see, I told you. This guy has a reputation for just being awful at signing autographs for people. No idea why, right? But when I look at the RailCats, there's not a single guy on the team that I don't think will stay after to sign autographs or take pictures or whatever, or carry on a conversation with you. Like Brandon was saying, play catch with you out on the field. Just really, I think that when Lamar picks guys, one of the prerequisites is that they can see the big picture. And I mean, hey, good job for him and previous managers, that they can find guys like that. And that's kind of one of the things that they look for.
And and that's one of the things that makes it really enjoyable to go in and do my job every day is I can count on a clubhouse with 25 guys who are coming in the next day, no matter what happened the day before, ready to work, ready to, get a win tonight. And they've always got a good attitude about it, no matter what happened. It's, despite what the record may have said, our clubhouse was always, a really great place to be pregame. Every day, everyone was coming in ready to work, give it all they had. And it was really just incredible to come in and walk in and see that every day. Couldn't have asked for any more.
Just talking about the record, which we have decided we're not going to discuss anymore, but we do have Brandon on, so we are going to discuss it for this amount of time, right? As a RailCats fan, and you go through a season like we had, which is markedly the worst one that RailCats have had in history when it comes to
it,
right? What, as far as that, gives you hope moving forward to next year that you've seen?
Well, I mean, there's only one place to go, and that's up, right? It happened. It's done. We can't change it, but we can change our future. We know what we did wrong. We know what we need to improve, and I have full confidence that we'll go out there and make that happen this offseason. I know our coaching staff is great. They've all got plenty of experience in their respective fields, and they're going to work really hard to make sure that we've got the best guys we can field at each position. Our players, I'm sure, are out there right now, back in their hometowns, wherever that may be. We've got plenty of guys playing winter ball, and we've got plenty of guys who are just working out at home. Everyone's back at home working on themselves to come in next year, come in hot, and give it all they've got.
Who's the one guy from the team this year that you want to see sign, absolutely 100%, this is the guy that I want on my team next year. One guy.
That's a great question. That's a great
and we're
question.
we're gonna replay this over and over, just letting you know, like whatever player that comes in is like, hey, just let you know, Brennan didn't want you. I'm kidding. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna
No,
do that. No,
no, that's
no,
not it
no,
at all.
no.
I said the first one. I'm not saying all of them. I'm just the first one you want to see signed.
There's so many guys I could say for this. I will say one of them I would love to see to come back, Gio Diaz. I know this year the trends were down a little bit, but he's a guy who, I mean, last year when he showed up, it must have been the second or third day here. He called me and said, "Hey, do you want to go hit at the Dome in Crown Point?" And I'm like, this guy's here and he's ready to work. He's a guy who comes in, it's working nonstop to be better. He's always working on his game, trying to make himself better, but ultimately he's working to make the team better. He's a guy who's always going to get extra reps with someone who needs them. He's going to help his team to be better around him. It's the guy who you would want on your team all day.
He's our RailCat player of the year, right?
Yeah, the RailCat player. Yeah, and I know with Gio, I think his numbers were down because of his power numbers were up. As far as like, I know he didn't hit as many home runs, but like you just see with like the line drives and he's that baseball player like when you play like MLB The Show and like you get like a perfect hit and you think it's a home run and it lines out to the third baseman. Like he kind of got that snake bit in this year. I think it was more of bad luck versus actual talent with him because he has the talent in the world. I think it was just the numbers aren't quite there just because of the other factors that go into playing baseball. You could hit the ball 100 miles an hour, should at the perfect launch angle, and next thing you know, you fly out to left field. Like that's just how baseball is. It's one of the most humbling sports out there. So it's just one of those that his numbers were down, but I don't think he improved on the offensive and defensive side of things. Just the numbers aren't there to show you.
And he's a guy who, even if he looks back and sees that, he knows that those numbers aren't an accurate representation of who he is as a player, and he's not going to think about that at all as he goes into next season. It's going to be a clean slate. He's going to have the same skill set, and odds are he's going to get better results because, just like you said, it's to an extent a game of luck.
Yeah,
I think that with when you watch Gio hit, a lot of his hits last year were right over the infield. The year before last, right over the infield. He can leg it out. He can hit a gap, that kind of thing, where there's no way that a guy is going to get to it. And Gio just gets on base, right? He also walked a lot year before last. He got hit a lot the year before last. And so Gio was a guy that I think was synonymous with being on base. Last year he got strength.
Yeah.
And I think that you kind of have that period where now you're hitting it, but you're hitting it to where guys don't have to run in after it. Now they have to run in a little bit or run back a little bit, but they're there. So he's got two ways to go. He can either get stronger, where now he's bouncing it off the wall, right? Or he can go back to being not so strong and hitting those shallow infield hits. He wants to get stronger, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And so why not bring the guy in who is by far one of the fastest guys on your team that shows up with that work ethic? And if he gets stronger, he's a guy that's going to give you better power numbers than I think you've seen with getting on base or what have you. I don't know that you're going to see the home runs, but I know you're going to see those deep hits. And
that's exactly the kind of player that you want at the steel yard with the big gaps all around. If he could reach that point, he would be the exact kind of player you'd want to see.
And he's the guy you want to have first signed on your team. I agree with you 1,000%.
Now, getting a little bit back into the realm of you working for the team, what would you say was your best day, and what would you say was your worst day at the Steelyard this year?
It's really tough to pick a best day. Every day, honestly, and this is going to sound really cliche, but every day was a great day, for different reasons. I guess we'll start with the worst day. I can tell you right now, the worst day was when we had I believe it was our only mid-game tarp pull of the year. In that one, or was it? Yeah, it was a mid-game. The rain just came on, and I believe we ended up suspending the game or
Yeah, it was
calling it.
one
I
of the
forget
later.
exactly what we did, but and if you would have asked me what we would have done last year, like when I was still a fan, I could have told you right away. When you're in it and you're pulling the tarp, you're not thinking about anything but keeping it low and getting it on the field in time. That I had never done that before. That was my first in-game tarp pull ever. The amount of stress you feel trying to get out onto the field is unreal. It's something that most people will never experience or understand. But it is, at the same time, it's kind of fun. The excitement, the adrenaline. You look back on it, and it's like, that was kind of fun. In the moment, though, no, not at all. As
I
far as
think
the best moment, though,
I think that with the tarp pole, I gotta say, I can speak on behalf of all the fans. We're disappointed that nobody slipped and slides. I mean, the self-control that it takes for you, the self-control that it takes for you to not just run out there. I mean, I see most of the time you don't have your shoes on. You're already halfway there, right? Go for the slip and slide, man. And we want you to do it, and then nobody does it, and we as fans go home brokenhearted and just sad.
you know
I
what? I
think
catch enough slack for the barefoot thing already. I couldn't take the slip and slide
I,
part.
I think Chuck's the only one that's heartbroken. I don't think any of us are thinking, you know what they should really do right now is slip and slide on the
Oh,
big
they
tarp that's
should.
out there.
They should. And that should be like we could generate a lot of money, you know.
But just you pay $10 or you pay $1 to go slip and sliding.
I go to Kane County last year and I see Brandon there and I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I just got done shagging batting practice. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Kane County charges you can pay and you can go out there and catch the fly balls at batting practice. And I'm like, what the heck? That would be like a dream of mine to be able to go out there and catch the balls in batting practice.
So
And why not
that's
make money?
that's different than just waiting for the rain to come down and
No,
go
it's
slip it.
not.
Yes, it
You
is.
say, hey, $10, you get a slide. $100 you can slide all day. It's like a trampoline, you know? Come on now. I'm trying to help Joe make a little bit of extra cash. I know that times are tough since he's got another team, and I'm just trying to help him pad the pockets a little bit.
I don't think Noah would approve of people slipping and sliding on this tarp. I think that's what it comes down to, Brandon. You can be honest. That's what it comes down
I
to.
do believe that as well. I think I would be I think I'd be in a pretty rough spot with Noah if I started letting that happen.
Uh,
This is
th-
this is bad. This is taking a bad
See
turn.
that's why you're not running the team.
This
Um,
is worse. So your best day moment. We're ready for it.
Best day. It might just be opening day. And because there's nothing quite like your first opening day in sports. It's going to be tough to beat that. From and I believe it was our first opening day win at home in 4 years, maybe
yes,
more.
somewhere around that. I can't read. I think it was in 2019, I believe it was.
So, a big moment for a lot of reasons. But, for me, you can't beat that first opening day. You really can't.
Yeah. And I think that's just a bit. Granted, I'm a big hockey person, and hockey opening night, whatever, is big and fancy. But I really think baseball is that one sport where it's opening day and it's just something special about it. I don't know what it is, but even American Association Baseball, that opening day, you wake up with a smile on your face and you're just ready for baseball. I think it's just because summer's right around the corner and baseball is one of those beautiful sports that it's almost every day that you get to look forward to watching your team play versus football. It's once a week, or hockey, it's every other day, so I think there's just something a little bit special about the baseball season starting, especially American Association baseball. That's
There's just
just
something special about starting that grind after the long winter that,
hmm
no other sport really has. It's just unique.
Yeah. You go from if you're lucky enough, you go to the game at the beginning of the year and it's cold, and by the time the season's over with, it's also cold. Now we haven't had that experience, and this year, I mean, it's now October 15th, and it's now finally cold. Like I feel like it's cold outside, and we've been blessed with beautiful weather this
We
whole
were
summer.
super fortunate. I don't think we really had our like first cold game of the year until like June 2nd or something.
Yeah,
Like
it
it was
was.
really late.
Yeah, it was weird, but I mean, even you talk about the tarp pool. I think there was only one game where we really had to suspend play because of the rain, and that was that horrific night that I drove home and I had to drive all over in the state of Indiana just to get home because there's so many trees down, and my wife will never let me go to another baseball game if it's going to storm in
I'll
that
tell you
day.
what,
But
that one's my fault actually. I was making a joke that week because we had, I think it was the end of a 9-game homestand. I was like,
Mhm.
it would be absolutely horrible if we had to pull tarp in the middle of the game, which you don't say that. You don't. That's just jinxing it. And by the time that weekend had ended, I think we pulled tarp somewhere between like 5 to 8 times, which was unreal in a span of like 4 games.
Yeah, actually, I take that
We
back. The crazy storm game, the game got over with.
Yeah,
The
it
day
was.
that you're
I know
the
exactly which one you're talking about. It was right after the last pitch was thrown. Tarp
yeah.
goes right out to the field.
And
Not
all of a
2 minutes
sudden it
later,
starts
it starts coming
downpouring.
in.
Yep.
Yep, that was we're all watching the game intensely. The tornado sirens are going off. There's people. I'm like, nope, the game's not over yet. We're not
Nope.
leaving.
Now, how insane is that? That tornado sirens are going off. Everybody else in the world is freaking out. We should like these are the alarms of, hey, this is something serious, and we're like, nope, not leaving the seats till the game's over with. And come on now. But there was a game where the fire alarm was going off. Something was going on over at that back thing. Fire alarm's going off, and I'm like, nope, not leaving. Game's going on. I see smoke. I'm like, I hope somebody realizes there's smoke over there, but we're still playing. Game's going.
Once again, that's just commitment.
Yeah.
That's our fans. That's our fans. If they're the game, they're watching.
I think that it's just a lack of common sense, but hey,
Eh,
whatever you want to call it.
Call it what you want.
it's
Call it what
passion.
you want.
It's
Passion.
passion. Okay, it's
There you
passion.
go. There you go.
Now, this was something that, being a fan of and sitting there going to the games and watching, and the last couple years, there would always be a ball magnet in the outfield or in the outfield, the foul lines, whatever the case may be, and always Brandon's going to be there. Where the ball's at, Brandon's there. And I remember asking you, I said, how many balls do you collect, a game? You're like, yeah, the average like 10, give half them away. And then you're like, yeah, and then I keep them and I put them in an Excel file and, casing and all that. And obviously, you haven't been able to do that this year because you were with the team. But you did go down to Kansas City. You were there for the home run derby.
That's correct.
And sure stuff. The first person the ball gets hit, and the first person I see catch the ball is Brandon. You know, being a fan, doing what I guess what it comes down to, what was the fascination with not only going out and catching the balls, but then collecting them and then like kind of keeping record of them?
I mean, it all comes down to just there were so many games as a child where I would sit in my seat and just wait for a ball to come, and it took years and years for that to happen. I don't think I got my first ball until like 2017. It was a long time. And then once you get one, it's like, oh, you know what? I bet I could get another. And it keeps going and going and going. And then after a while, you realize, oh, some of these balls might be special. Like I've gotten a couple of players' first home run balls,
Mhm.
giving those back to those players. I've actually on my desk over here, I've got the 1,000th win, the last out from the 1,000th
Oh,
win.
wow.
Wow.
So, it's just, you get one and I don't want to say addiction, but that's kind of what it becomes. And, it never stops.
So how good did it feel? You had to take a hiatus on uh catching foul balls and catching home run balls to go to Kansas City and be all over the field catching balls again. How good did that feel?
It was nice to return back to the way that things used to be. It still gave balls away as well. So, it was nice to help other kids, kind of experience the same thrill I did when I was that age. But, it was nice to get back into the swing of things. There's nothing quite like catching a baseball right off of the bat and being the only person to touch it ever, out of the pitcher's hand and into my glove.
Is there any video evidence of you catching a ball at an MLB park where a kid was reaching up for it and you snagged it from him? I feel as though the number of baseballs that you've collected, you've definitely stolen some out of kids' hands.
Never out of a kid's hand. No. In Oakland, actually, there was a guy behind me, and I kind of mossed him for the ball that I got in Oakland. I reached up and I'm basically, I don't know how he didn't get it because I'm only 5'8". This guy behind me he's got to be like 6'2" or something. And my hand just gets in front of his, and I don't feel bad about it either because I'm just a kid. I was in front of him. I just happened to jump up at the right time. But from a kid, you'll never see me take a ball. In fact, if I see a kid in my same section, I'm not even going to stand up if I see a ball coming my way. It's not worth it. They
You're
need
not
it
gonna
more than
protect
I
him.
do.
You're gonna let him get hit in the head. He's not touching the ball.
Listen,
That's why they got a parent with them. That's why they got an adult.
He'll get it on the rebound.
I may be a terrible person, but American Association, independent baseball, I'll give a ball away. But if it's an MLB game, that ball's mine. I will rip it out of a 2-year-old's hand for that ball. Okay, I don't care who it is, what it is. It's mine.
Oh.
All right, it's an MLB baseball. Okay, it's mine. It's different. Okay, I've been on this earth for 28 years, and I've gone to a handful of MLB games, and not have been close to catching a ball. So I'm just saying. You may be alive for 2 years, maybe been on this earth for 2 years, but
Hey,
I've been
Ryan,
here longer. I want the ball.
Ryan,
Tell you
we're
what, the
gonna have to
secret.
edit this out. We gotta edit this out, Ryan.
We're not editing this out. I'm a bad person.
Tell you what, the secret. You show up for batting practice, and that's all it is. Like in my best game was during COVID when they saw like the 25% capacity rule. Showed up during BP at guaranteed rate, so already a really dead game. I walked away with 6 baseballs from batting practice and 1 from the game.
They let you in before batting practice. They normally
Most stadiums have either a 90-minute or a 2-hour gate rule. So if you check with whichever stadium you're at, it'll be posted on their ballpark FAQs.
I think you're lying. I think you're lying.
No,
because
if you
I have not won ever since COVID. I've been to Guaranteed Rate, I've been to Fenway, I've been to the Rockies, and Wrigley, sadly, and not once have they opened the gates like an hour, like batting practice was over, like the fields were cleaned off.
You have to make sure you're going for a game where batting practice is likely. So if you're going for a Sunday, for example, usually you're going to a day game after a night game, they're not going to hit.
Well, no.
The best way to do it, show up to Wrigley Field on a Saturday. Fridays are always at 1:20. Saturdays are always at 1:20, and they open gates 2 hours early. So you're guaranteed to see usually the tail end of Cubs BP and visitors BP.
Yeah, you're not going to catch me fairly nearly at Wrigley Field. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Guaranteed rate, usually they have one game a year where they sell a batting practice pass. So you'll get to see the entirety of White Sox BP and visitors BP. Other than that, I think they're usually 90 minutes. So you see the last group or two of visitors BP only.
Jerry Reinsdorf just trying to get his money in and still screwing Bulls, Blackhawks, and White Sox fans out of watching Chicago Sports Network. That's beside the point.
You know what?
Some things never change.
You know what Jerry Reinsdorf's doing? Selling tickets for people to go slip and sliding on the tarp. That's what Jerry Reinsdorf's doing.
I don't think he's doing that either.
I don't know about that.
He knows how to monetize the business.
Moral of the story is I will take a baseball from a 2-year-old.
We got that. Hey, that loud and clear. So Brandon, I've got a couple for you here. So last week we discussed this, and I know you're an avid listener to the podcast. Actually, this is going to be weird because you're the only one that listens, and you're on it. So now I don't know what we're going to do. But last year we discussed a mystery bobblehead giveaway.
Let's see how well he's listened. Let's see how well he's listened. Do you know what the mystery bobblehead was that we talked about?
Was it Tommy?
No.
Nope. See, no, wasn't listening. It's all right. It's okay.
I must have missed that one.
Our idea was
this was last week
that you have a mystery bobblehead giveaway where there's more than one bobblehead. So you don't know what you're going to get, and there's a good chance that somebody else next to you has a different bobblehead than you
So you got trading going on too. I see.
have. Exactly. What do you think of that?
That's an interesting idea. Um, you'd have to come up with a good list of bobbleheads, and I'm sure you could. There's a lot of good ones out there that have never been done. Yeah, that'd be interesting. It would get a lot of people talking in the ballpark. It would get a lot of people showing up. I think that'd be a good one.
I think so too. And knowing that it's in a white box and you have no idea who you're getting, to me that's like, all right, I think you'd have some of the top-notch fans of clamoring for that one. And you have that new guy that's working there that only allows you to have one bobblehead, and I think he checks your like takes your blood to make sure that you only get one souvenir. I'm not saying who that is, but I think that so there would be no way of getting more than one. Uh,
Fingerprinting everyone.
Right. I think they might go fingerprint, something like that. Brandon's feeling very uncomfortable right now.
Brandon's like, all right, why did I
About.
sign up for
He's
this?
like, I know who this guy is, and don't want to talk about that. So you think that would be a good giveaway, huh?
I think it'd be an interesting one. Yeah, we've never done anything quite like that. We've done bobbleheads, but nothing quite like that.
If it was it as a fan, if you had heard mystery bobblehead and you knew there was a possibility of having two or three different people or whatever as a bobblehead, what would surprise you? What would be the one that you're like, I really want this?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. If you ask me as a RailCats fan, if you
Yeah.
told me there was a Tommy Williams bobblehead in there, I'd be all over that. If you ask me as a baseball fan, if you had someone like LaTroy Hawkins in there, or major leaguer, or
Kenny
someone
Olson.
significant in that kind of aspect, you draw from local teams, like you draw even some of the Illinois guys over here. It's all depending on how you look at it and what you're interested in. So that's another thing that works, is you have a lot of markets you can appeal to.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we can have talking about the history and just talking about bobbleheads and all that. And I was unfortunate. I think Chuck was also unfortunate that we didn't get to hear Tommy Williams at Steelyard. But you were fortunate enough too. What eh, to you, what was Tommy Williams to the Railcats?
Tommy is probably one of, if not now, the most important figure in RailCats history, if you ask me. To so many people from the region, he was the voice of summer. Like, there were few things as constant as showing up to the Steelyard and hearing Tommy Williams' voice and feeling, the nice breeze off the lake on a 70-degree night. He was just so important to not just the Railcats, but our region, the city of Gary. He was one of the biggest advocates for the city. And not just that, but for sports in the region. His work with Lakeshore is not to be unnoticed. It was, he was great at what he did. He always advocated for the things he felt strongly about, like the city of Gary,
Mm-hmm.
and his voice will forever echo throughout the Steelyard.
That's talking about Lakeshore. I work with them on Friday nights, and there's not a day that doesn't go by there on Fridays that they don't mention his name. And it's kind of one of those things where like you don't realize how good something is until it's gone. And I think this is the most that Tommy has been talked about as far as like what his presence, what his legacy meant to anyone that has been connected to the region in general. So it's nice what the Railcats did. The booth now is the Tommy Williams booth. I really think that Chuck and I and you will probably all agree that they need to come out with a bobblehead of him. I think that would be something that that you could take a couple years to do that, to kind of put two and two together with that, because his legacy won't die there as long as we have people that um, will advocate for the Railcats and keep the history kind of going with him on that front. So I just think, me and Chuck really got to miss out on that portion of it, and he's just such a big part of Gary in general and Northwest Indiana and the region that you can't just mention his name and not take a couple minutes to talk about him.
Yeah, you know what? I am sorry for you guys, actually. I did not realize that you never got to hear him. He really was a really, really important part, at least to me, of the RailCat experience. Like when I would think of going to a game, his voice was honestly one of the first things I would think of. So I am sorry for you guys, but
I think that I went, but I don't think that I really paid.
put
Yeah,
it together. Yeah.
yeah, I would go 2 games a year, and there was so much other stuff that you've kind of got your senses on that you don't put it all together, I don't think. And we see it now where it's, hey, this is something that we miss, you know.
Yeah, and some of us aren't as fortunate like me not to weren't able to hear him. But now I did get to meet him once briefly in real life, and that was when I was coaching football. When Lakeshore did the prep report and stuff like that, he came down and he would interview the coaches like for the game of the week. And
Yeah.
at the time he was interviewing the head coach, but he was just a great person in general. And like even thinking about that, I'm like, oh wow. When I was looking for Lakeshore, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot he was here, and it's such a big part. I remember being a kid and watching him on, PFR and watching him talk about, football and stuff like that. So it was always one of those interesting things that you don't think about until it's gone. You're like, oh well, there we go on that front of it. Um,
What if with the bobbleheads, what if they release a Rascal bobblehead and Rascal comes running out of the clubhouse and attacks Rusty and takes Rusty out of commission, and Rusty's gone and Rascal is the new mascot of the RailCats.
See, that would be something. I was always a big Rascal guy back when I was still going to games. Um, I did really like the whole idea of tag teaming mascots. And it's a unique thing. You don't see a whole lot of double mascots like that. I'd love to see Rascal come back. That's one of the things I remember about going to games when I was little was Rascal. I was always a big Rascal guy, but that would be an interesting way to announce it for certain. That's for
I'm
sure.
just I'm just throwing out some ideas. These can be your ideas. You run with them, you make them happen. Okay.
I'm time stamping that because it was me last week that mentioned it, and I want the credit for it. Like I
Right.
said, I take
No,
I take MLB baseballs from 2-year-olds. Okay, I want my credit.
he wants his credit. That's right. That's right. Uh, what do you think? A giveaway that we haven't done before. Uh, what is something that you'd be like as a fan? Wow, that's great. I'd have to be there for a game and get this.
Yeah. This answer, you're probably not going to like it because it's been done before elsewhere, but you may not know. I'm a big pickleball player. I would love to see us follow suit and do like a pickleball paddle giveaway like Schaumburg's done, like Fargo's done. Even the Chicago Cubs did one this year. I just think that'd be kind of cool. That's just my personal interest. Um, Again, it's been done before. It's just one I'd like to see.
A pickle paddle.
Pickleball paddle, yeah.
So I thought where you're going with that is that we were going to steal the bobblehead of the pickle, the rally pickle from Chicago, and hand that out. I believe Ryan, did you not? Ryan, you back there? Ryan, did you approve that one last week?
Yes, he did.
You
He's
did.
giving me the thumbs up.
Yeah, he approved that
He
one
approved
last.
that one. Yep.
He will take credit for the rally pickle in Chicago.
Okay.
But giving it out to Gary, whatever they had left over, right? That would be pretty cool. You know, I think, and this, we asked the best giveaway. I actually think, and I saw somebody with this last year, and I wanted to go over there and knock him over the head and steal it from him. The skateboard.
Mm.
Yes, those were cool. I've got one of them. For some reason, it's the rarer one of the two. It shows up a lot less frequently.
There
It's
was
a cool deck, a really good wall piece to put on your wall, actually. I would not be opposed to seeing another one of those come back.
there was two of them.
Yeah, there were at least two designs. I don't recall if there was a third one. I know for a fact there were two though.
Somebody was walking out of the office with one last year at the end of the season. And I felt as though if this person came up missing, and they didn't have that skateboard deck. It is what it is, right? But um, it definitely one of those things where you're like, wow, definitely the wow factor on a giveaway. I don't know if cost wise the Railcats could afford it. If they did some slip and slides on the tarp, they would be able to offset that.
It all comes back to the slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
So you would have better giveaways. Once again, not my idea. You can run with it. Just make it happen. All right. You can get full credit for these ideas. But definitely I think a skateboard deck would be really cool. Another one.
Enough about chucking his promotions. It's
No,
it's food, it's promotions,
what's
and
the
slip and
disclaimer? We
slides.
do not condone knocking people over the head and stealing their skateboards. What's with what?
Your obsession with food, promotions, and slip and slides, right? This is what it's turned into. Now it's gonna be every podcast
Okay,
episode is
you
gonna
want to
talk
know
about slip and
you
slide,
you want to know
food,
what my
and
obsession with slip and slides? I'll tell you what my obsession is. Um, I used to love going on a slip and slide when I was a kid, right? And then I'm going to say probably like 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, whatever. There was a slip and slide, and now I don't slip and slide. Now I plop and stay. And I did it once, and I hurt my leg, and I was like, it was really cold, so I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. And then I did it again, thinking that maybe I wouldn't plop and stay, and I did, right? And then later on, I felt like I actually had broken my leg, so I can't do that anymore. So I
well,
think my obsession is that I want other people to be able to enjoy it while they can before they wind up plop and staying.
this goes back to his point, Brennan. You may be peaking right now because you just get older and things just stop working.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm trying to help you, man. I'm trying to help you here. I'm giving you pearls. All right, giving you the goods, and just hey, take one for the rest of us that can't do it, and just go out there and slip and slide across the tarp just one time, right? And I'll get the fans behind you. We'll all cheer for you. You go out there, you slip and slide one time.
Got
It
it.
might be your last day on the job. I'm not going to say that, right? But it's always good to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
Or you could just simply hypothetically go up to no one, hypothetically say, hey, hypothetically, if everyone in the stadium started chanting Brandon and I hypothetically slid across the tarp, would you be okay with that? You're not asking for permission, you're just kind of like
Right?
a
It's a hypothetical.
hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical.
Yeah, it's
And
just a
you look at
hypothesis
us.
theory.
You look at us. You give us this. We start cheering, and then we go.
Yeah.
Right. The chance that Noah's listening to this is 0%. It might even be negatives.
I could be wrong, but I think I heard the chant last year. I think I
You
heard the chant
did.
last year for a
You
couple of
did.
tarp pulls.
Yeah, you did, and you let us down, Brandon.
I'm aware.
And it's
I'm
because
aware.
of that, and we did not discuss this, that we might have to yank the front office MVP award.
Oh,
Whoa,
man.
whoa, 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 whoa. We can't do that now. That's
You're
just
right. We
unfair.
already gave it away. Let's just say, moving forward, we need to look forward, right, to next year. If you let us down next year, we're going to have to remove your application for the front office MVP.
Automatic disqualification. I see.
Yeah, that I'm sad to have to bring that up, but you were the only one to send the application in for this year's front office MVP.
Ah,
And so we kind of had to pick you, but I think that with all the glitz and glam that goes with that award, we might actually have another person that sends in the application.
I see. I mean, I'm still waiting for the award in the mail.
Oh, you're not getting an
You know
award.
how
You're
the snail
getting,
mail
you're getting a
is.
swift high five.
We talked about giving away awards. Unfortunately, we don't have the sponsorship yet to be able to give those away. And so I will promise you this, that if you listen to this podcast 100 times for each podcast that we put out, we should be able to at least get some sort of a printed out certificate that says, welcome to your first RailCats game. We'll scratch that off and we'll put welcome to your first MVP front office award.
I see. That is a step up. That would be a step up from where we're at.
Think we can do that. I feel confident. I have the printer, Kyle. We can print that out.
Yeah, you go right ahead. You
We can make that happen.
You make that happen. You do that. You know what? We've gone on tangents, and this is what this whole
Off the rails, my
off
friend.
the rails.
Off
You
the
know,
rails.
we're trying to have a conversation with Brandon here, and it's just like off the rails. It's just how it kind of works. But anyways, what is something, being a fan that you didn't quite know or understand until you fell into the front office, like behind the scenes role? Like, there's a lot of things that kind of, uh, for me, being in sports media and doing all that kind of stuff, like what you see on the TV screen versus the production side of things, like there's a whole different world back there. What is something that you took away from being a fan and now knowing how the innards of baseball operations work on the game day side of it? What's something that you take away from that?
I would say the biggest thing is, for those of us who show up to 40, 45, 50 games a year, you think this is your life until you start showing up at 7 a.m. every day and leaving at 3 a.m. the next day. You don't always realize how big of a commitment it really is. And I wouldn't change it either. I'm, very happy with what I do. I'm glad I get to do it every day. I would rather do this than anything else in the world. But sometimes it's the work you're putting in that you don't realize. Like I knew that the clubhouse manager is usually first one in and last one out, but you don't often register that until you start doing it. And even the rest of our front office, there's no such thing as a 9 to 5 on a game day.
Mhm.
It doesn't exist. Your start time might be constant. You might be coming in at 8 or 9, but when you're leaving depends on the game, depends on when you get everything cleaned up, depends on when that last pitch is thrown. There's no such thing as a formal structure once the season starts.
So what you're saying, as me, a fan, I like the late games. I like the 7 o'clock, 6:45 starts. You, front office member, probably prefer the day games.
It depends. There would be times where we go from a 6:45 to an 11 o'clock start, and my work usually if I start at 9:45, I'm not leaving until 1 or 2.
Mhm.
So if I'm going, from a 6:45 to an 11, I'm probably just staying the night because I'm not going to have enough time to go home, sleep, come back, and get ready for the next day. Now, if you ask the rest of the front office, they'll probably tell you a 2 or a 4 o'clock game isn't too bad because you're still getting home with, a little bit of either, a little bit of time in the evening or at least at a decent time in the evening. But for me, there's not much winning as far as game time goes. You're either in for late nights or we're bumping up the start time gradually from 4 to 2 and you're losing time in between, or you're going straight from a 6:45 to an 11 and it's, a stay the night kind of deal.
See, that's what we talk about this all the time. The amount of time and effort that it goes to put on a
Mhm.
3-hour production is insane. And you don't realize the amount of time and effort that it takes. And we can nitpick little things wrong here. We can nitpick the blades of grass that aren't cut straight on the at second base there that I always run my mouth about. It still annoys me. But reality is the amount of time that they put in is crazy, and thank you for that. You really, I
Mhm.
mean, you guys put in that time for us to be entertained, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
No,
I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's obviously not easy, but with fans like you guys having the best fans in the league, it makes it a lot easier.
I'm not
Oh,
going to say best fans in the league. Well, we are. We really
well,
are.
listen, we're the only reason we're the best fans in the league is because Brandon decided to go to the other side and start working for the team. So
Well,
that's why. I mean,
we did have the best fans, and now we've got some of the best front office work.
exactly. We've
So
upgraded.
yeah, I mean, come on. I was talking to Anthony once, and he said, I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? He He's like, man, it's been rough. But he's like, I walk outside my office and I get to look at this field every day, so I have nothing to complain about. And I'm like, there you go, you know.
And he's right. I say the same thing. We're fortunate enough as it is to have such a beautiful stadium, but the playing surface as well. When you put it all together, we just have a really beautiful facility that you can't complain. There's no better view.
Yeah, and we take care of the field ourselves. We don't have a college slush fund that takes care of the field, the government money that takes care of the field for us. We don't have, some guy that's getting $300 million off the books that's running around in a $2,000 tractor take care. We don't have any of that stuff. I mean, there's teams that have that stuff and they, buy the awards every year, but we don't, and yet we still have. Players will tell you the best playing surface in all of American Association, even if the people voting are rigged, doesn't matter. They will say that we have it, and you guys get to look at it every day.
No, I'll tell you what, Noah and Jonah did a great job on the field this year. They put a lot of time, effort, sweat into it, and you could tell it looked beautiful. They just did an excellent job.
If you can let them know that some of us that sit on the first base line, we really don't like seeing the straggly grass right there at this, between first and second. We really need that
You
cleaned
you
up
you
on
can you can
the
tell him that it's Chuck.
That's
All right,
fine.
the bucket hat guy.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let's blame it on Ryan, because this is really, I'm speaking for Ryan on this. That
Ryan's
Ryan
fault.
would like to have that cleaned up on a regular basis.
I got you. So it's Ryan's fault. We'll throw him
Yes.
under the bus. Got
Oh,
you.
it's
Yes,
not
Ryan.
his fault.
Ryan is the punching bag of the podcast.
It's
So
Of course. Of
We're
course.
not going to blame anybody other than the ground crew for this. But we're going to say that, if we could just make sure that that's touched up on a regular basis, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for putting that in today's notes to make sure that I repeat that over and over.
Oh my God. Oh God. All right. We are spending a lot of time on tangents here. We're almost pushing about 2 hours
This
with
is
you, Brandon, here. So one, we appreciate you being on for this long and dealing with our crazy, chaotic mess that we create ourselves into. So with that being said, Chuck, do you
No,
have
we're not
more
done.
questions?
We're not done with Brandon yet.
Okay.
You weren't.
Well,
You weren't. First of all, Brandon, so do you like the podcast? Do you like listening to the podcast?
I do. It's especially since I'm no longer sitting in those seats every day, it's a really great way to kind of stay in touch with the fans. I do try to make an effort to stay in touch with you guys while I'm physically at the stadium, but that's not always possible. The busy nature of the job it can sometimes be overwhelming. So this is a good way for me to kind of tune in to see what's going on with you guys when I might not necessarily have the chance myself.
Do you go into the office now?
I was just there today, actually. Yes.
Okay. Um, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a rumor that every time we release a new podcast that you guys play it out loud and let everybody watch it while you're at work. Is that true?
Unfortunately,
You
I
can't
don't
talk
believe there's
about
any
that?
truth to that. I don't think there's any truth to that.
There's a lot
We
of
have
truth to that.
enough going on as it is.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. It's the off season. So, yeah, I'm willing to say that it's okay. I think that Kyle will say that we approve playing the thing, and we appreciate all you guys listening there and taking our tips and our advice and taking them and running with them. Um, so go ahead and keep playing the podcast when you get to work. Play it out loud so that everybody can hear it. And then we'll get more people watching. Then it won't just be you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, will you come back and have these nonsensical conversations with us again?
Absolutely. Absolutely willing to do that.
he's like, please stop the recording. I want to get off and I want to leave. It's okay to admit that. It's okay. No,
This
I
is
did.
what for everybody out there that's watching this, whoever, Kyle's grandma watching this, whatever it is, this is what the three of us sound like when we're just sitting around talking about nonsense.
Well, yeah, no, naturally. I mean, when we do get graced with the presence of Brandon,
Right.
either we're sitting in
Uh,
third base side or
hold on.
oh no no
Miss
no,
Mr. Front Office MVP. We
okay,
are very
got
grateful.
it. Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, we see tangent. We're talking about. I'm on a train of thought now. Now I've lost it.
When we
But when
do
we do get graced with your presence, this is kind of how we're just talking. It could be random things, how's your day going? What's this like? What's that like? How's school going? You looking forward? It's just that. That's just what we do. It may be for 5, 10 minutes, and you're like, guys, I have to get back to work.
right.
So it's just one of those things where this is what it's like. So this is a little brief inter fly on the wall aspect of if people see us talking, this is what we're doing.
Right. And I do have a favor that I need to ask because I've done a lot of favors for you, Brandon, in the
Yep.
history that we've been together. My favor to you is that we need a nugget of news that you will break by coming on here and break some RailCats news for us that nobody's aware of. And this is the outlet where the world finds out.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
All right.
Unfortunately, not a lot going on right now,
Not
but
right
we'll see
now.
what we
No,
can
when
do.
you come back,
We'll
you
see what
just
we can do.
get a hold of Ryan, the production guy, and schedule a time. Unfortunately, right now our schedules are pretty booked.
I got
Um,
you.
we got a lot of other people that are coming on the podcast and stuff,
Yeah.
we might have to squeeze some time in. And with all of these people wanting to give us money and stuff, uh, it's
Now, why
really
are you lying? Like, why are we lying?
right.
Why are we
We're really
lying?
busy, but yeah. So get a hold of us, and then we will throw together something, and we will break some RailCats news. Doesn't that
Okay.
that
Yeah, we'll
sound
see
like?
what we can do.
No,
All right. All right.
obviously, won't be in the lines. I don't. Listen, we don't need to be stepping on people's toes here, okay? Like, I don't want you getting in trouble with someone for
No,
Of course.
no, we'd never do that.
Chuck would. I wouldn't do that.
No, you're stealing
I would just
baseballs
steal
from
baseballs
2-year-olds,
from 2 year
and I'm
olds.
talking about hitting people over the head, stealing their skateboards. All right. So really, I mean, Brandon, we're willing to let you lose your job over this. We're
I'm
not. We're
I'm
not.
happy to hear that. Thank you.
You know better. You know better. We would never do
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I've been wanting to ask this question since we've started. Since you mentioned you're trickling in a little bit of sports management into your college. Now, you probably listened to Indie Ball Report, right?
Yes.
And you've probably heard Nick and Ryan both talk about the Railcats having an intern that runs like a baseball operations role.
I've heard bits and pieces of it. I haven't heard all of it. I will admit this summer I've listened less than I normally do, but I've heard bits and pieces.
Okay, so when I was on with them, they were talking about the baseball operations role and the Railcats really not having one, just because of funds or whatever the case may be. And then you got other leagues or other ball clubs that have some kind of baseball operations role. So with the sports management, you looking to maybe like talk with Anthony about potentially being that intern that kind of starts a baseball operations role in with the Railcats to kind of get that side of things with like Lamar and starting to pick away at maybe analytics, just different things like that. Has that been a conversation, or is this something that food for thought?
Absolutely something I'd be interested in. Really anything in the field right now. I've not thought on anything too specific, but that's definitely an intriguing area to look into, something I'm interested in. So definitely something to think about, I would say.
Um, in your future sports management degree track at college, um, does it mention or is there any uh thought, as we had discussed before, about getting an all-star game in Gary where we can stand out in the parking lot and charge people to park? Because we're really looking for some sponsorships here. We don't have the money to even give out awards, and I think that could really fund the podcast.
Hold up. I'm asking a serious question here. And you're talking about charging people at the parking lot at an All-Star game that we're probably not going to get anytime soon.
That's close. That's close to. I was being
No,
serious.
it's not even. We're sitting in left field and you're out on the outside of the ballpark.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's on the
money.
outside of the ballpark charging for parking.
Exactly. Come on, Kane County's doing it. Chicago.
How about me
Milwaukee's
talking
doing it.
about baseball operations on the baseball
That's
side of things, talking about players? Nowhere near did I talk anything about.
That's part of operation. I'm just asking if he's going to have the skills to be able to collect the money outside so that we can fund this podcast.
It sounds like you should just go out there and just start collecting for yourself at this point. Like,
I don't have a big enough cardboard sign. I'm gonna come up with a serious question to finish this off, Brandon. I appreciate all of the hard work and effort you put in, buddy, and I appreciate your love for the game, and I appreciate the example that you set for all these other guys that love baseball. I've got a couple of kids right now that I can think of that just remind me of you, and I'm impressed. So thank you for all of that you do for the fans, and you don't even realize you're doing it. I appreciate that. That's just the stand-up kind of person you are. My final question is, when you get older, right? And whether you choose to have kids or whatever that is, and you're, at that point in life where you're sitting back and you're really thinking about your life, uh, what is probably one of the fondest things that you'll think about when it comes to the RailCats that you would share with somebody else's? If you just had that snippet of talking about your history or what you've done to kind of show your love for where we're at in Gary.
I would really love to be able to have, my future children kind of have the same memories I had growing up at the steel yard, the same family memories, that kind of deal. And I'd like to be able to pass on those same concepts to maybe other people as well. Growing the brand, but also showing, what we've got, this beautiful stadium and ballpark and wonderful family experience to my own family someday. I think that would be ultimately what I'd love to do if I had the opportunity to.
There you go. That's good.
I got two more questions, and then we can
He's
release.
tired of being on this thing.
Listen,
it's been an hour and a half.
Then we can release you from your chains, and you can go on your merry way. Okay. First question is, out of the 2024 experience working with the RailCats, what is your biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway, it's going to be, every opportunity you get, take advantage and work hard with what you get. I think that's basically everything I've done this year. It all started with an opportunity that I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and it was working hard to make the most of it. I think that's what you have to take away from it, honestly.
I hate to have to correct you on this, but I'm going to. You didn't just by chance luck into this opportunity, and it's not a case of, and you kind of make it sound like you said, at the right place at the right time. That's not. I don't believe that at all. What I believe is that the time and effort and what you put into being you and the example that you've set is what's created these opportunities for you. And so it's not luck and it's not by chance. It's people know who you are. They know the heart that you have for all of this stuff, and they give you opportunities because of that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So since you are our first time guest, and I asked this to everyone, and now we've gone over a lot of maybe fun facts about yourself, but what's one thing that we've discussed or one thing that we haven't discussed that's a fun fact about yourself?
Ooh. Well, let's see.
that he's actually 35 and he's been parading around as a high school kid this whole time. He used to be undercover for the police. He was one of those guys.
21 Jump Street all over again.
Right. That's oh, did I spoil? I'm sorry, Brandon.
Well,
Now I'm gonna be able to have that job again.
that's too bad.
Don't sell
I don't
drugs
know.
to this kid.
Probably the one thing in the free time that I do get, I do really enjoy playing guitar, musical instruments of all sorts, but especially guitar.
Are you good?
Somewhat, yeah. I would say I'm good enough.
I'm gonna have to request that you show me how to play the guitar. I have two
We can make that
guitars.
happen.
I have two guitars upstairs in my closet that I've never been able to play because I don't know how to play guitar.
See, that's how it was for me for a long time. The problem is it's the best way to describe it is it's almost like a baseball season. It's just such a grind.
Yeah.
It's a long process, it's a hard one, but it's very satisfying when you get there.
I told myself 2 years ago that for my birthday I was going to treat myself to a new talent. I was going to get myself either guitar lessons or go skydiving, something stupid,
Yeah.
and kind of broaden my horizon. And that was a great idea until I forgot about it. And you just reminded me that 2 years ago I didn't get guitar lessons. So now I'm really bummed out about that. That's a really bummed out surprise.
I hate to remind you that you peaked a while ago, but
Yeah,
oh well.
I did. That's fine.
It's all right. You know what? It's easier to learn than ever. I never took a single, I guess with the exception of like two, I never really stuck to in-person lessons. I was almost entirely self-taught. It's so easy now that you've got so many online resources. I've also been very fortunate. I've been playing piano since I was like 3, so I would say more
That's
musically
the fun.
inclined than most.
That's the tip right there. He plays piano.
Yeah, see that there you go. And outside of the triangle, I heard the piano's pretty hard to play.
The triangle definitely tops the list, but
You know what? Unfortunately, Kyle peaked out at the recorder in elementary school, and it's been downhill ever since with them with
Yeah.
musical abilities.
Yeah.
So, that triangle, it was a rough one for him.
triangle's tough. But you know what else is tough is tambourine. Oh,
Mm,
mm-mm.
yeah, no.
He tried the maraca once, but for some reason the stick kept getting stuck in his nose.
Common
Yeah,
issue I've heard. I've been told.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've gone off the rails a little bit
Enough.
too far on this. Brandon, you have been by far the longest guest on the podcast, and there has been uh plenty of things that we really haven't dug into that we could still dig into. So anytime that you're available and you want to jump on, you just like, hey, I want to talk some
Yeah.
RailCats baseball, and you jump right on. It can spend an hour and a half, 2 hours talking about what we just got done talking about all over again. But no, realistically, Brandon, you seeing you not knowing that you were a high school kid 2 years ago, and even last year going into your first year of college, whatever the case may be, the maturity that you show, the drive, the passion that you have for the RailCats side of things is something, a beacon of light to be shown on for the RailCats, and something that I think helps kind of solidify what Gary is, or what it could be again, is a hardworking mentality, passionate, loyal, and I would say for most RailCats fans, you are probably up on that topper echelon of fandom. Now that you're on the other side of it, you're still a fan, but you're working for the team, so that kind of goes on the wayside a little bit. But uh, nonetheless, thank you for everything that you have done and are still going to do. And just being a good person in general is something that doesn't go unnoticed amongst the fan base. I don't think there is one bad thing that anyone could say about you, and if they do, I might shove their head in a toilet. But that's beside the point.
I want to say on behalf of Paulie and Ben and Dave, thanks for giving them an opportunity to get home run balls.
Mhm.
By you
Yeah.
taking the
Yeah,
job
that
in the
too.
office It's really opened up their ability to see a baseball, which they previously hadn't been able to do very often. And hey, so thank you on behalf of them.
All about helping out the community. So I guess that's one way to do it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that is one way. But thank you again, Brandon, for jumping on. We appreciate your time. And enjoy the long but short off season. Enjoy your first year in college and just everything that goes along with it. And remember, you're not at your peak just quite yet. So just keep that in mind.
Well, even if you are, man, it's been a good peak.
He's not.
Can't
He hasn't
complain.
peaked it.
Can't
He hasn't
complain.
And just so you know, when you hit the big time and you become a huge agent for, whoever it is, you have that corner office in New York City with the glass windows. We will be willing to take this offline for an exorbitant price. Good luck, buddy.
Okay.
Good luck. Yes. Thank you again for jumping on. Anytime, you're welcome. Like I said, enjoy your first year at college, and we'll definitely see you at Steelyard again next year if you aren't jumped on prior to that. So
awesome, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the Steelyard next year.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.